Hi, this is Carlos from RC Advisor. Today I'm reviewing the Turnigy 7-in-1 Megameter. And here it is. It's a brand new product. In fact, I think I ordered it as soon as it showed up on their website and I just got it. But I've been putting it through its paces, and I have to say, I think it delivers. It may not be perfect, but it does a lot. It's a pretty small unit. It only weighs, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 ounces. It costs $40, and it's got 7 functions. That's why it's called the 7-in-1 multimeter. It can measure the battery voltage, and it does that when you plug in the balancing plug on the side. It can handle up to 8 cells. But you plug it in and go into the voltage monitoring mode, and you'll see the voltage of each cell. It can also monitor the internal resistance of a battery, which you can do that by plugging in the battery. But if you want to measure the internal resistance of each cell, it's a little bit more involved. There's a special probe that they have that you have to plug in, and then you have to plug it into the balancing port one by one. So I didn't think that was the most convenient, but it's okay. It's got a watt meter, which is probably the best feature. In fact, I'm gonna fire it up right now so that I can show you the watt meter display. These are pretty beefy connectors that it comes with. I don't know how many millimeters they are, but there might be 6 or 8. But it takes quite a bit of force to plug it in. So it comes up and it just has the says Turnigy Megameter. It's got 3 buttons on it, and I didn't find it real intuitive. But the top one is called Mode, and that's for the Mode button is for switching between functions. Then the one below that is labeled Back ESC, which I guess means escape, and that's for exiting out. And then the one below that is Enter. But when you're inside doing something and you want to switch between what it can do, I believe you press Mode and then Enter to change the value, which I found a little bit counterintuitive. But right now I'm gonna hit Mode couple of times to go into the watt meter, and then hit Enter, and there's the watt meter function. I don't have anything hooked up, but should be able to see that. So anyway, the watt meter has all the usual functions, and the reason why I bought this in the first place, I like the large display. I have an Eagle tree which has the watt meter functions, but the display is just very small, and it's just kind of a pain seeing everything, because I believe it has to alternate. But here you see everything at once. Current, peak current, actual voltage, wattage, peak wattage, energy in watt hours, I guess energy that you've used, and charge in amp hours. Not 100% sure what that means. I don't know, unless it's talking about if you're charging something and you have this plugged in, I guess it's telling you how much power has gone through. But again, I just tested every function that it has. Everything worked okay. Some better than others. I thought the watt meter was fine. Another feature that it has is a servo tester, and it works fine. It's got a little dial in the front, so you turn the dial and you can plug in the servo to the front, and it's got 2 modes. Manual mode, where you're just turning the dial, and it shows you the width of the pulse. So I guess if you set it to 1520, that should be neutral. But then you change the mode on that, and it's got an automatic mode where it cycles the servo back and forth. So I thought that was okay. It doesn't have the largest number of features of a servo tester, but it's adequate. Another feature is a tachometer, and here on this side it's got an optical sensor, and that's the feature that I probably had the most trouble using. The instructions say hold it between, I believe, between 10 and 20 centimeters. And I had a real tough time getting it to take a reading. In fact, the only way I got it to take a reading is by holding it like almost touching the propeller. So there's some safety issues with that. But once I got it working, I thought it was fine. I thought it was accurate, and you can change the number of blades between 1 and 5, and it updates quickly. In fact, also with the watt meter, it's a quick updating. So once I got it going, it was fine. This is indoors, but it's all natural light, so it shouldn't have been that hard. But maybe it's designed to be used outside when there's very strong sunlight. So that's possible. But that gave me some trouble. But once it worked, it worked. It also has a temperature probe. This cable here, it's got its own port in the front for temperature. I tested that; it seems to be working fine. It's got a good accuracy. Seems to. And then the final feature is a thrust meter, which may be the least useful. I don't know, but the thrust meter really is just a calculator. It's not really using any other feature of the meter, but you input. Let me bring it up. You can see the values that you have to enter. So you're entering the diameter of the propeller, the CF, which I think it means the some sort of coefficient, saying how efficient the propeller is, and the instructions have a little table. I don't know how much I trust something like this, but there's a few different brands, and it gives you the values. Enter the number of blades and enter the RPM, and once you enter all of those values, it'll compute the thrust in pounds and kilograms. But again, it's not using any other feature of the meter. It's just a calculator. One feature that it doesn't seem to have, and I wish it did, because when I was using the watt meter, I wanted to be able to drive the servo, the speed control, but drive it as a servo while I'm using the watt meter, and it doesn't seem to be able to support that. Maybe there was a way, but I couldn't see a display. I would have enjoyed seeing some indication that it was doing that. I just didn't seem to want to do that, so I had to use a separate servo tester in that case. And also, the instructions are okay. There's some good tips in here, for different things. The grammar is not the best, but definitely adequate. But one of the things that they point out in the manual is that the unit has pretty good internal protection, and I have to say I tested that out, because to measure the internal resistance of a battery, you have to take this kind of funny probe and put it into the balancing connector for each cell. Well, I was plugging this into the output, and that was dead wrong. So then when I plugged it into the battery, there were sparks and heat and all of that. I didn't damage anything, so the meter is fine, the battery is fine. So it's really kind of weird the way this works, because you have to plug this into the input, okay? But if you have that plugged into the input, how is the meter going to get power, to work? Well, so what you have to do is then take another battery and plug it in as if you're doing the voltage check on the battery, and that's how you power the meter. Which, to me, nothing is perfect, but it would have been nicer if this, where you plug in the balancing connector on the side to measure the individual cell voltages. It would have been nice if that also measured the internal resistance of each cell. Then you wouldn't have to deal with this funky probe and having to remember how you have to hook it up to make that work. It's got a setup mode, but it's kind of silly. You can turn on and off alerts and the beeps on and off, and then you can enter your name, but I guess in case you lose it, then your name is in there. So overall, it works. The tachometer was really the only disappointment. You really have to read the manual, because it's all the different modes. It may not be obvious how to get everything to work. But you know, overall, I think it's good. You know, at $40, it does a lot. It may not be quite as good as top-end dedicated meters, but if you want a compact unit, which is what I was looking for, also something that I can keep in my field bags, I'm pretty happy with it. So, you know, for $40, it's okay. Definitely works. You know, the interface could be better, but you know, I give it a thumbs up. So till next time.